That's a good question, Ben. So your question had kind of two parts. The latter was why are why there is so little discussion about reincarnation in Pemako, and the first one was, remind me again.
Just the point about how it's possible we were not only practitioners but Mahasiddhas.
Right. So here's the deal. I remember I spoke about Magic Labdron an hour ago, and there's somewhere I have this book, like I think it's Complete Teachings of Magic Labdron in English. It's a big book. I don't remember which publishing house it is, but you can easily find it. And somewhere in that book, Magic Labdron, somebody asks Magic Labdron that when did reincarnating start and when will it end? And she replies that, look, consider it like this, that it never started and it will never end. And I forgot the rest of her answer, but like I said, I spoke about Bodhisattva vows, and that it is a vow, and that what we vow in those vows is that it has no time limit. So it is million lives in future is not enough. There's no time limit. You just devote yourself, commit yourself to this Dharma, what Bodhisattvas do. And the thing is that this is also, maybe some lamas have talked about this in private, but I have never seen it discussed in books. But let's think of somebody like him, Guru Rinpoche, and we have had our moments with Guru Rinpoche. I have limitless love to him and respect to him, but there has been moments when I've flipped him the finger, and part of that is because to me personally, having the position that I have, it has been like a journey for me personally, because I've started the whole thing from scratch without any support from the establishment, and this has been challenging. So at times I just told him to go fuck himself because it's been so difficult. But then I've always also apologized. And he understands it, he has understood me flipping him the finger every time, because he knows that it's so difficult in this world situation, in this modern culture. Anyway, so the reason why I mention him is because let's look at our position now. I am his student, and in a sense you are also his students, and in a sense you are my students. So in this setting, he is the Grand Master. But what is rarely mentioned is that the teacher-student, master-student roles might change in different lives. He has the position, let's say, in this era that we live. He's had the position of this Grand Master of Vajrayana Buddhism for over 1,000 years, and it will remain so as long as Vajrayana Dharma exists in this present form. So in this way he has been kind of fixed into this position. But he has also countless previous lives where he's been a student and somebody has been his master. And I'm just talking about this how do you say, like a merry-go-round that happens in Dharma, that in some life you have might been my teacher, and in this life I am your teacher. In some life, let's say some other person, teacher, practitioner, master might have been Guru Rinpoche's teacher and he was the student. So it goes like this. It is not linear. And when somebody becomes a Mahasiddha, then you can choose what you do. And becoming Mahasiddha is not rare in a sense. I mean, it is relatively rare. Like if we look at all of samsara and we start counting that what percentage of beings, what percentage of human beings become Mahasiddhas. It's very low, the percentage, but also it is not special in the sense that it happens. And it has happened a lot in the history, not only during the history of Buddhism of 2500 years, but the history of Dharma that goes back, like Machig Labdron says, it has never started and it will never end. So like a beginningless time. And I'm not talking only about the time of planet Earth, but other existences. But anyway, when one becomes a Mahasiddha, like I've many times said, then you can choose. And if you want to remain a Mahasiddha, like in his case, you know, he has the job, Guru Rinpoche has the job of overseeing the whole field of Vajrayana Dharma and kind of being a grandmaster, kind of being like a grandfather to all Vajrayana practitioners, regardless of lineage. You know, this is, he remains like that for the time being. Now for, what, 1100, 1200 years. So I think that it will continue to be so for him for, I don't know, maybe a few thousand years more. But he has that position of not being in the physical body, only emanating in different men and women, different practitioners who become teachers, who might become Mahasiddhas, just taking emanations, but himself fully 100% not reincarnating. Okay, but he might do it later. He might take a reincarnation later, and I don't know of a single case where the way how it happens is that when a Mahasiddha chooses to reincarnate, they never take rebirths as fully enlightened Mahasiddhas. There would be no point in that, like taking rebirth in any samsaric realm and be already fully enlightened. So they always voluntarily take some karma, or they take backward steps in their Bhumi progress, so that they can have human experiences, they can have experiences, other forms of living, forms of existence, and practice and realize, and in that way be an example to others. So there's lots of examples of this. And many, let's put it that way. And but if you choose, so any Mahasiddha can choose to do that. But you might also choose not to take rebirth, not to voluntarily become a samsaric being again. And just, when you leave, if you become a Mahasiddha in this human body and you leave it, then you can take a new human body without becoming a samsaric being again. But you can, in non-physical realms that are many, loads of pure lands, loads of astral planes where there are samsaric beings, you can just, if you want, as a Mahasiddha, you can spend, endless time cruising, touring those realms. Maybe teaching, maybe not teaching, just enjoying the view, having a tea, having a coffee, figuratively speaking, and just enjoy. You're a Mahasiddha. You have paid your dues. No unfinished business. And there's a lot of Mahasiddhas like that. A lot in non-physical realms. A lot. I have often criticized them with love, with respect, that they are lazy bastards because they spend hundreds and fucking thousands of years doing nothing. So my criticism towards them is that, did you fucking forget your bodhisattva vows? So from the perspective of my own personal perspective, well, there is again the thing that there are very few people who are ready and willing, have merit, have karmic ripeness. That's always you can't go around it. If you don't have people or other kinds of beings who are not ready for the Dharma, they simply are not ready for the Dharma. And this is a good point, that it's a good question that, well, if you don't have that many people on earth who are ready, then why should Mahasiddhas come here? Right? So it's a complex situation. In all samsaric realms, there are very few who are ready. Like if you look at like Amitabha's Pure Land, for example, people can very easily get into Amitabha's Pure Land. With little devotion, with some sincerity, Amitabha will take anybody with open arms to his place. But it is a good question. How many of those beings, thousands and thousands and thousands of beings in his place, are ready to go all the way? Might be this many. So the way I see it personally is that, of course I see it that way, as a Vajrayana practitioner, a Vajrayana teacher, that everything, all spiritual practices, even if they are dogmatic Islam, dogmatic Christianity, dogmatic this and that, it's okay. Then there are, secular mindfulness, popular nowadays. Awesome. There are all kinds of spiritual practices, methods available. Great. But if you ask me, who am a Vajrayana practitioner and teacher, to me, the point of Dharma is to go all the way. eat the whole 3-course meal, not just take a bite of the appetizer. I remembered talking about this. There's one very... I wish I had a chance to get to know him, but probably won't happen because he's ill. But there is one great teacher alive in US, Daniel Brown, who there's this one talk from 2018 that is, I think it's one of the best talks I've ever heard. It's his Sacred Sundays interview. You can find it from YouTube. I listened to it a couple of times, and he sums up everything so nicely. And one of the things that he says is that he's speaking to an audience of mindfulness practitioners, and he says that why are we doing this, people, if we are not aiming for awakening, body, enlightenment? Why are we doing this? So he's kind of making the view very clear from his perspective, from Vajrayana perspective. But then again, Vajrayana Buddhism in the world has problems, has issues, pedagogic problems, which is a really big one. With love, with respect, I am saying that so much basic problems that people don't kind of know what they're practicing, what they're supposed to focus on. So that's a really big problem. And then, there is the whole going too far with the external paraphernalia. First, always take care of your practice and understand what you're practicing and what the goal is. And then you can focus on building fancy temples and raising millions of dollars money for such causes. So first things first. And this is too rarely remembered, what is, why we come to Dharma the first place. It is silly to, start learning Asian languages and start wearing, whatever Asian clothes and just, adopt foreign culture. That is not Dharma. But that's what happens to many. And then, well, yeah, I've talked about this many years, and so there's no need to go into that more, but it is true that there are many problems in Dharma, and one of those is that practices don't work, or there are some basic problems why people don't know how to use the practices. So every generation of Dharma practitioners and teachers should check, kind of reality check, what they are practicing. If there are no fruits in after practice, like real fruits. It says in different Vajrayana manuals that it is possible to attain Buddhahood from 5 to 7 years. Many manuals from all schools of Vajrayana Buddhism. Where are those practitioners who have attained it in 5 to 7 years? Where? People practice decades and are still struggling with basics. How is that okay? It is fucking heartbreaking to me. It is heartbreaking. Waste of time. Waste of, if you think that people come to Vajrayana because they have the merit and they have the karmic readiness, and then they spend, in some cases, really decades not understanding the basics. I remember in one of Daniel Brown's writings, he said that he has met lamas who have done the traditional 3-year retreat, meaning that, these people have been in 24/7 retreat, in box retreat, like you are in sitting, like in this sitting box where you are in upright, cross-legged sitting posture for 20 hours every day. You sleep upright. So he has said that he has met lamas like that who don't understand even the basics of meditation. Imagine that. How is that possible? And then you have lamas like that teaching people. People come with, really, really honestly and sincerely asking teachings, but then they can't teach because they don't know and they don't understand. They just read books aloud. No good. So what was the second part of your question again? Oh, the Pemako thing. Well, there is, maybe I'll clarify my own reincarnation situation first. I know whose Tulku I am. I know who I have been in previous lives, but the thing is that myself and through that Pemako we don't have qualification from the establishment. And that being the case, if I started saying that I'm the reincarnation and emanation of this and that, it would be very strange. So this is the reason why I don't do it. I have a couple of students who have meditated on my previous lives and have come to ask me that, am I a reincarnation of such and such? And if it has been correct, I have said them, yes, but don't speak about this with others. This is because I have done it so because as you can understand, there are many charlatans and fake gurus around the world who claim these really crazy things. And I just don't want to put myself into that category of people where there were some unbiased claims. But one day it might come that someone who has authority in established Vajrayana might verify my past lives, verify my present status as a Tulku, and then after that, if that happens, then I will speak. And I will be happy to speak, because I would have so many stories and teachings to tell you about those lives. But until then, I won't say anything. I think there's a couple of my students who have remembered their past lives and have meditated it, have verified it themselves, and then have asked me that, what did I think about that? I have taken their cases myself into meditation and verified that, yes, this is your past life. So I have a couple of such students, and then there's a number of other people whose past lives I know. The thing with past lives is that if we have, let's say, who would be a good example? the thing with past lives, the thing with Tulkus, like it has so many times been discussed in the Vajrayana, among Vajrayana people, is that, like I said, nobody takes rebirth as a fully realized Mahasiddha. So even if somebody has been a Mahasiddha in very recent past, and they takes rebirth 2 years later and is alive now, for example, that new Tulku has purification to do. And here's the problem, if that young Tulku is a reincarnation of some past Mahasiddha, it often creates a lot of love and devotion in the hearts of their students and followers. They bow their heads, fold their hands spontaneously, naturally. But what then if the young Tulku is not a practitioner? He or she has karma, baggage, but doesn't practice. What then? This is a very common problem. Not only in the case of Tulkus who just recently were Mahasiddhas, but especially like a lesser Tulkus who are reincarnation of lower stage practitioners. So I'm simply making the point that if one is a samsaric being, first things first. Finish your practice. Then one can confidently be confident, have confidence, and then properly, in the best way, teach Dharma to others. And what is like this retreat, we've been talking about devotion. So that is like a kind of like a multifaceted topic. Devotion is something that belongs to Vajrayana. But personally, myself being a Vajrayana teacher, some of my students are naturally like devotional. Not over devotional, but properly devotional. But just few. I have many students. This is not criticism, I'm just saying how it is. That I have many students who don't approach me in a devotional way, don't approach me like this at all. They come to me like, not in a bold way, but kind of like this. And I don't like that. Especially from new students, I don't. It is disrespectful to do that. Even if I'm a Westerner. But if I'm friends with somebody, then it's a different thing. It takes time for the relationship to mature. But devotion, I have had two hard teachers in physical, Terayama Sensei and Sivakami, and I had tremendous devotion to Sivakami. She was American lady. She lived for most part of her life in Oregon, and then when she retired, she lived in Hawaii. And I get emotional when I think about her. But I would have given everything to her, including my life, my health, my everything. All my money, everything, if she had asked it, if she had needed it. Why? Because what she gave me. So I think that devotion has a very important part in Vajrayana, simply because gurus have such an important position in Vajrayana. But like we have seen, this positioning is also prone, also it easily gets distorted and twisted. But anyway, devotion, expressing love, expressing really one's insight through devotion is, to me, very natural. And to some, very natural. To others, may not be that natural. So, your question, Ben, was about discussing reincarnations, past lives, this Tulku thing in Pemako Sangha, and like I explained from my personal perspective, that's the reason why I don't talk these things. But there is no reason why you couldn't talk about these things amongst practitioners. The thing is that all of these things, like past lives, is the law of karma, true, all these basic teachings, doctrines that Buddhism has, they are not secrets. There is a word, open secret. And how can we confirm that the Buddhist teaching of karma, for example, is true? How can we confirm that past lives, that we've had them? Meditate. When you meditate a lot, what happens is that, here we are, as we are sitting, everybody, we are kind of fixated in the physical realm, in physical things, in this world around us. We get kind of fixed with it, especially over time. Many times kids, when they are small, they see things, they perceive things that adults no longer don't. But if you meditate a lot, that veil between physical and non-physical starts to disappear, and you start seeing, you start perceiving in a different way than you're used to in this physical world. You start seeing deities flying around you, masters coming to you. You start seeing pure lands. You might see angels and demons. You suddenly understand, wow, now I understand. You see something, you have a vision, you have an experience, and then you understand. Yes, doctrine of karma is true. Or like past lives. When the veil is there no longer, then you can just get the information. When the veil between physical and non-physical isn't there anymore, then it's just open. It's not an open secret anymore. Then it's just open, and the information is available to you. Kind of like just Google then, and you will get the answer. Just tune into, let's say, in this talk I mentioned Amitabha's Pure Land, Guru Rinpoche's Pure Land, other Pure Lands, deceased masters, different doctrines. And here's again the thing. How many times have you heard a teacher say that you can verify karma or past lives for yourself. Exactly. 0 times. What's up with that? It's both are really basic Buddhist teachings, and people are not told that they need to verify these themselves, because if you don't do it yourself, it will be belief based. Belief based is never good enough. But like I said, I have certainly verified these things myself and teach from that experience, from knowledge-based experience. And that's what I'm telling you to do as well. Whole world should, blowing my thigh bone trumpet, whole world should know how to practice the Dharma correctly and not just believe in books. And it's lovely. It's lovely when you learn things firsthand, isn't it? Anything. When we were small children and first tasted like a tomato, delicious tomato, we had experienced that. Oh, it's so good. When you first had fries and ketchup, right? When you first made love. Oh, that's why they make a big deal out of this. Same thing in Dharma. It's awesome if you do it right. It's just clutter. It's just shit if you do it wrong. Like everything else in life. Second hand is not good enough. I hope that was enough. Sorry for the ranting. I think it was the dagger that made me fiery thing. So hope I wasn't too harsh. Let's sit for a moment and then get to our break.